based on all this experience that you have inside firms and now guiding them through the transformation, what final nuggets of wisdom would you offer to aggressive growth-minded attorneys who want to grow smarter, build stronger teams, and stop wasting time?
RPA, automation. Just honestly, like, forget about AI for the minute. I know it's like the talk. I know that you're panicking about not using enough of it and scared about using too much of it. All I'm going to offer is the encouragement to let's take a look at what you can automate without using AI. Let's get 100% accuracy and see how many hours you can get back and how much you can scale without dipping your toes into kind of that swampy kind of area right now.
If you're an aggressive, growth-minded attorney looking to transform your law firm into a thriving business, you're in the right place. Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, the #1 podcast dedicated exclusively to aggressive, growth-minded attorneys. Each episode will deliver actionable strategies and insights to help you attract ideal clients, scale your law firm, and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Josh Konigsberg.
Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, where aggressive, growth-minded attorneys discover proven strategies to transform their law firms into thriving businesses. A special thank you to our sponsor, Law Firm Marketing Pros. They get you more leads, more clients, and more profits. I'm your host, Josh Konigsberg. Let's get aggressive. Hey, Josh Konigsberg here with another exciting episode of the AGM podcast. Super excited today. Our guest today is Elisa Silverglade. Lisa is the Director of Automation at Techromatic. I hope I said that right.
Techromatic.
Techromatic, thank you.
Techromatic, yep.
Where she helps law firms streamline operation through robotic process automation, RPA. We're going to learn something new today. This is great. With over 15 years experience managing a law firm and a background in finance, tech, and advocacy, Elisa works closely with legal teams to identify the repetitive manual tasks that slow them down and replace them with smart, reliable automations that boost efficiency without overwhelming the staff. That's amazing. Welcome to the show, Elisa.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, this will be a lot of fun. We're going to learn some new stuff today. This is cool. So tell us a little about Techromatic. What does Techromatic do and what is your mission?
Absolutely. So Techromatic is an IT services provider around for almost 17 years, always specializing in regulated industries around a core of cybersecurity. And then about 5 years ago, they started building software robots using robotic process automation. So initially, Techromatic was building robots in the healthcare industry. And I came aboard as now I'm the director of automation, but I came aboard to sell automation. So I learned a lot about this robotic process automation, a lot about healthcare, but always had the vision to bring this technology to lawyers and law firms because that was where my brain went after 15 years of managing a law firm. So about a year into my relationship with Techromatic, we found a different set of tech partners that basically allowed us to democratize the technology, bring the pricing down dramatically, and make it available to small and mid-sized businesses and especially law firms.
Great. So for attorneys who might not be familiar with robotic process automation, how is that from like traditional software or some of the AI tools we're seeing being introduced today?
Yeah, absolutely. And nobody should feel bad for not having heard of it. It's something that very few people have heard of unless they've been like in a Fortune 3000 company in operations. So robotic process automation has been around for almost 20 years. It's used by the biggest companies in the world in pretty much every industry. But as I mentioned, several years ago, we were able to find tech partners that had democratized the technology, making it cheaper. So what does it do? It is software, and I'll always refer to it as bots or robots, but it's software that lives on a computer. And the bot will get its own computer. The bot gets its own email address. It gets its own credentials to log in and out of everything. And we develop the bot to do exactly what it needs to do, the way it needs to do it. So it is a substantially different technology than AI as an umbrella term. So while it has components of AI and it can integrate with AI, it's not in and of itself AI. And what that means is that we can actually achieve consistent execution and near 100% accuracy because we're not mimicking the way a person would think or react. We're simply replicating the behavior that a person would take at the computer.
So can you cite an example?
So, an example, let's say estate planning. We have a bot that does about 4 hours of estate planning probate administration work in about 8 minutes. So, what it does is it will extract data from the death certificate, open a file. It will email the bot, will email the paralegal to please do intake with the client. Then the paralegal will do this inhuman intake and push a button that triggers the bot to then copy and paste all that information into the case management software, generate the documents the paralegal has indicated they need for the case, then ask the paralegal to approve the documents. Once they're approved, the bot will actually push them all through DocuSign, then invite the attorney to approve. And once the attorney signs and says it's okay to file the case, the robot will actually go to the eCourt website and file the case. And then it will update all the firm records, including an event on the firm calendar sent to the appropriate
Wild.
attorney. Yeah.
Absolutely wild.
It's
Amazing
crazy. It's
stuff.
wild.
Yeah.
You know, the imagination is to take a look at these larger work products and try to identify the components that don't require expertise. Those are the manual behaviors that we can automate. So we're automating out the grunt work of these larger work products.
Love it. So you've obviously worked in law firms and in finance and in tech and even in advocacy. So what first got you really excited about helping law firms adapt this automation?
What got me really excited about using this technology for law
Yeah.
firms?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I managed a small law firm for over 15 years. It was my ex-husband's. He's a general practitioner. And when I learned about the technology, my brain started going to all those things I did for him that really were just kind of by rote grunt work, generating retainer letters and using templates and he did a lot of real estate, so like receiving a deal sheet and then having to open the file and everything is very, by rote. So that's very automatable. But what I realized overall is that the most valuable work I did for the law firm was in forming the relationships. It was in having clients feel confident talking to me and hearing from me, being able to relay the care of the firm, and then also like the light level legal work. And the rest of it is just paperwork that gets piled up that's crucial for the day to day of the firm, but it's not actually going to grow the firm or make the firm fantastic. So when I learned about this technology, this really is a way to automate the grunt work out of the job and elevate the people on the team because everybody can do more than this 9 to 5 data entry type stuff. And once they have free time, they tend to be doing higher value activities, which are also more fulfilling. So it creates a balance in the firm or the organization where people are actually interested in coming to work and doing their job, and they're interested in the success of the firm because they want to keep working there.
Got it. So most law firm owners can identify that they're wasting time somewhere, right? But they don't know where to start. They don't know how to identify where the waste is and what the most common areas of law. So what are the most common areas of law that you see the operational leaks?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say there are probably use cases in every practice area, with some being more conducive than others. So any practice area that is very document heavy, where they're dealing with a core set of documents, even if there's multiple templates, even if there's, numerous options for, various data points. Anything like that, there's a very big opportunity for automation because you don't realize how much of that document prep isn't really legal work. It isn't really expert work, right? So estate planning, family, business law, immigration, there's just so many documents being prepared, and a good, 60 to 85% of completing those documents is not actual legal work.
So you said that you love educating attorneys about the difference between AI and automation. Why is the distinction important, and how should law firms think about what to automate versus where AI would fit in?
Absolutely. So, one of the biggest reasons that it's important to distinguish is because RPA, robotic process automation, is a tried and true technology that's been around for almost 20 years. AI is It's been around, but it's still in flux. It's still in its iterative mode, and the potential of AI is not nearly measuring the outcomes, right? So I don't know if your listeners happen to catch that MIT came out with some research about 6 weeks ago saying that 95% of AI pilot programs fail at businesses. So that's a really huge failure rate, right?
Sure.
And with AI, and this is not the case for every use of AI. There's plenty of good uses for AI. But when it comes to smaller, businesses and law firms, one of the things I talk about is, why are you trying to mimic the way your people think when the way your people think is your biggest asset? And why not instead turn to automation to automate the BS, the grunt work, the same every time, first name to first name, last name to last name, address to address.
Right.
If this, then that. If the client lives in Connecticut, include clauses 6B, 7H, and 2C.
Right.
It's like these are the things that you're not looking. It's rules based behavior. It's about teaching a person or a robot the rules, right? And so the discernment really does come into, where should you automate? So the first question I ask people is, where is the most muck in the gears of your machine? Okay. And people know what I'm talking about. If it's a small firm, we're talking about the managing partner. If it's a larger firm, it might be a practice area manager or a COO or a paralegal manager. But people know in their circles, where is that muck? And usually the muck is manual behavior that's slowing down the rest of these processes where there might be high tech in some areas, low tech in other areas, and it's creating these obstacles, right? So that's kind of the first question, where's the most muck? But then we look further to, where is the best opportunity for automation because we have the most straightforward workflows. And we're parsing out. So we're almost never looking to automate A to Z on a process. We are looking for what can we automate now? What can we automate but not now? It's too complicated. We want to do it as a second round. And what are we leaving for the humans? And especially when it comes to law firms, there's always going to be human behavior required. You're
Sure.
always going to have that human oversight. You never want a document to leave your office without human eyes on it. You never want anything filed with the court without human eyes on it. But what people don't realize is they can automate around that human behavior and cut down dramatically on the work.
That's really very cool. I totally get it. It makes perfect sense. Let's talk a little bit about some of the lessons that you've learned from the experience. So, you've been on both sides, working inside law firms and now helping them evolve. What's something attorneys often misunderstand about scaling their operation?
Well, I think that right now, it's exactly what we're talking about. It's that discernment on where to use certain technology and where not to. It is a lack of, sometimes with a lot of attorneys, a lack of recognition that leveraging technology is pretty crucial to scaling in this landscape. And when I give presentations, I don't use slides very much in meetings or anything. When I give presentations, we talk about how like every decade has brought this major technological advancement that has really changed the landscape and changed our expectations for speed and resolution and stuff like that. And this is part of that. So, attorneys can no longer charge 20 billable hours to go research in a library if you could find the information on LexisNexis in 7 minutes, right?
Right.
And so eventually the regulating body is going to catch up to this too, where the billable hour towards the admin work that can be automated is going to phase out. And the human contact, the real legal expertise, that's what's the highest value behavior. And so I think that firms that are looking to scale need to automate as much as they can so that their humans are elevated and on platformed for that human work.
So, when a law firm brings in a new technology or an automation, there's often hesitation. So, what have you seen work when it comes to getting the whole team to have buy in, get them on board to actually use it?
And that's a great question. And we learn a lot from the lessons of the big players over time. Like there's a lot of these billion-dollar companies that tried a huge automation journey and it just didn't play out the way they thought because people weren't participating. Why? Well, it should be pretty obvious, but I guess it isn't. But people are afraid for their jobs. If you're in a small firm and you're a paralegal and your boss says, you know what, we want you to get on the Zoom with Elisa from Techromatic and show her everything you do to onboard a new client because we're looking at automation. That person is going to show up tense, right? They're going to show up fearful. They don't know what this means for their job. They may not participate in the full discovery. They may not participate in testing. They may look for ways not to use it or to shed doubt on the automation because they want to, solidify their own value. So what I recommend, and sometimes I have to do this kind of on the spot, but I try to recommend before people come, is ask your team open-ended questions like, what do they love most about their job? What do they wish they could get to, but it's on the back burner because of paperwork? What other skills do they have that they want management to know about? What other skills are they interested in learning that they think will be valuable on the job? And then when you say, hey, get on a call with Elisa at Techromatic for 2 hours and show her everything you do for onboarding, that person is going to have an expansive mindset where they're going to remember those other questions and they're going to, oh, I bet this is going to let me get to those other projects. Or I bet this is going to open the door for me to give my opinions about how this job could be done better. That's huge, I think, in that communication, because then you get the buy-in. And the thing is, when people say, oh, I bet the paralegal, hates you because you're coming to take their job, they don't know paralegals. Paralegals are not happy with all that paperwork. They love not having to do this paperwork.
Good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about some of the successes that you've had. Can you share a story where a firm implemented just one or two automations and saw a noticeable shift in productivity or team morale and or profitability?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really, we're getting great feedback all over the place. We have a client who just did an internal podcast, or I don't know, it's actually available externally too, but for the firm has its own podcast. We're in the estate planning area. We have a bot that constructs estate planning document packages, and they named the bot Willpower. And they talked on the podcast just about how they're getting such great feedback. They really consider it a success because they've gone through and identified all those repetitive aspects of the packages. And even only doing a couple packages a week, they're getting a return that they're really happy with. We have an estate planning, no, excuse me, a personal injury firm where this is amazing. This is actually my favorite story. So this is a personal injury firm. They have a 6-person medical records team, right? All PI attorneys have to request and retrieve medical records. It's the biggest bottleneck in the industry. Their 6-person team is saving 3 days a week, and the manager no longer has to work nights and weekends to keep on top of the records. So that's 6 people that overnight have new job descriptions and a manager that has a new work-life balance that she never had before. Like, she's been working for years, scrambling to get all these records, and now she's free on nights and weekends.
Amazing. Love that story. What impact have you seen the automation have for the client experience, whether it's faster communication, better follow up, fewer dropped balls?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't really have much data from our clients, but we just know from experience that anytime you're taking care of this admin work 24/7, like clockwork with no mistakes and nothing falling through the cracks, obviously clients are going to feel well cared for. And when things are automated, clients feel like the organization might even be bigger than it is, that they have a larger team looking after them. And there's obviously a confidence that's built from just, efficiency and accuracy, and then that's going to lead to trust in the relationship.
Well, and also ultimately leads to what I call is the very bottom of the funnel, and that's the advocacy. So once they become a client, now they're so happy they become their advocate. So
Yes, absolutely.
in terms of industry trends, and if we a little bit forward thinking, we're seeing more law firms interested in automation, but many still aren't sure where to start. So what trends are you seeing in how law firms are approaching operational efficiencies today?
There's a whole range of participation from things that individuals can do all the way up to things that we're doing with these customized software builds. But I think that almost every software offers some sort of automation these days. And so I very heavily encourage people to dig deep into their current tech platform and see what functionality might be offered that they're not aware of or that they're not using, and to either use it or know why they're not using it, right? Like, know that it doesn't meet their needs and understand that, or use it. Things like automatic calendar booking. These things, I happen to use Calendly, but there's Microsoft Bookings, there's these modules and all kinds of CRMs. You structure your workflows. I got a number of reminders for the podcast. I had, these get people in. The biggest tip and the biggest thing that I'm seeing people start to recognize are things like using web forms to structure data. So attorneys especially will find themselves going back and forth with clients, collecting documents and information. What about this? What about that? It can be a bear. So one thing that people can do is do a web form, a Google form, a Microsoft form, use a third party where there's lots of customization available, any form of answer. You could have them upload documents or images. You can have conditional formatting. And then you create a database of that body of information that you can then use to copy and paste into your different applications. Or when you're ready for someone like Techromatic to come in and build a digital worker, now we have a database that robot can work from.
Love it. Moving into some advice for the growth minded attorneys that are listening. For a law firm that wants to grow but feels maxed out, and I see this often, right? So what is one process or habit they could start evaluating today to make a change?
So that's a hard one because it really does change from organization to organization. I think onboarding is fairly universal. Most firms and organizations have a process to bring on a new client that involves the exchange of information and documents, and then copying and pasting or generating documents and tasks as a result of that. That's a really good area to look at to see if there's some room for automation there. And as I said, I always ask, where's the most muck in the gears of the machine? So whatever comes to mind, let's start talking about that. And I do think, to be honest, that it is hard, and there's a real learning curve because most of the people I talk to have never heard of this technology and they don't know how to apply it. So that's kind of where I just rely a lot on my institutional knowledge about law firms, where I can kind of get in, and when I'm talking to a law firm, we can start to uncover those manual processes and just start talking from a bird's eye level to kind of identify the lowest hanging fruit.
Based on your all this experience that you have inside firms and now guiding them through the transformation, what final nuggets of wisdom would you offer to aggressive growth minded attorneys who want to grow smarter, build stronger teams, and stop wasting time?
RPA, automation. Just honestly, like, forget about AI for the minute. I know it's like the talk. I know that you're panicking about not using enough of it and scared about using too much of it. And all I'm going to offer is the encouragement to, let's take a look at what you can automate without using AI. Let's get 100% accuracy and see how many hours you can get back and how much you can scale without dipping your toes into kind of that swampy kind of area right now.
That's great advice. So, because it is such a buzzword and everybody wants to know this, and then, we're part of this agency group. And somebody put a post up yesterday, what was working last month with Reddit and Quora and AI overview isn't working today. So, just that
Oh, yeah.
fast. So,
Oh, and
yeah,
I won't, I have so many like silly AI stories, where like, it's just anytime that you have a technology that will randomly and without indication make an error, you are then creating a body of work that is dedicated to reviewing that output to catch those errors. So you have a much lower net time savings or net money savings than it looks like at the surface once you realize how much work is linked to the monitoring. Whereas with automation, once we test it, once we get it going, we know what we're doing, right? So we just deployed a bot for another PI law firm, also medical records. The bot processed over 1,500 medical records in the last month with 2 mistakes, and both mistakes were related to human error. So once we have those corrected, we're looking at 100% accuracy, or if not 100, you're 99.8% accuracy. You're never going to get that with AI. Well, maybe not never, but not right now anyway.
It's time now to move on to my favorite part of the podcast, and that's what we call the lightning round, where people get to know, like, and trust you. So I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. It's 10 questions. So I'll ask the question, and quickly, whatever pops into your mind is for the answer, and it's a lot of fun. So, Elisa, what never fails to make you laugh?
What never fail? Okay, this is so silly. Oh my God. Oh, I thought my kid was in the next room. They're gonna laugh. A few years ago, I saw an advertisement on Facebook for an avocado purse, and I just could not stop giggling about that. It's so random.
Auto purse.
Avocado purse. And my kids, when they're trying to make me laugh, still, this is like 5 years later, be like, "Hey, mommy, remember the avocado purse?" And it's just so
That's
silly.
funny. That's funny. So what's the best compliment you ever got?
The best compliment I get is that I'm very authentic. And I get that. My kid actually just told me I was aggressively authentic, which
like it.
I took as a compliment. What you see is what you get. That's why I'm nervous about this rapid fire, because I
Oh,
could.
no, it's all good. It's all good. Judgment free. Judgment free. So, person you trade places with for one day.
Ooh, person I'd trade places with for one day. I don't know. I guess I will say a billionaire of anybody's choosing, so that I could give away all that money.
There you go. That's right. I like it. So, what's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is probably like games on my phone that I like. I'll get, like, I'll get into a game for a little while, play too much of it, and then delete it. So
Candy Crush.
yeah,
That's the last game I played. I don't know if it's still.
yeah. I'm playing poker now, but I'll get sick of it soon.
Okay. So, what is the best gift that you've ever given someone?
My partner plays hockey, and one year I bought him a couple of coaching sessions with, like, a pro hockey coach, because
Oh.
he started playing as an adult. I think that was a real. I don't know. Most of my gifts are really good. I give very thoughtful presents.
I love it. So, what's the worst piece of advice you ever got?
I said this before, and I always second guess it and go, well, this could be good advice in some situations, but I think the worst advice is, like, just hurry up and get it done. Like, it doesn't matter, just hurry up and get it done. And while I do know that that does apply to some things, but for me, I do tend to overthink, so I need a little bit of that balance. But I think that things are worthy of thought and intention.
So, what's the one thing that you wish you were better dealing with?
My emotional reaction.
What's your favorite childhood movie?
For some reason, The Lost Boys is coming to mind.
Good one.
Not really child, but
It's okay.
much younger.
So, what is the one book that changed your life?
I have to say, the one book I recommend to everybody is Let the Great World Spin by Colin McCann. It's fiction, and it's just extremely well-written, thought-provoking, amazing work of literature.
And last question is, tell us something that most people don't know about you.
I am a geek or a nerd, depending on your preferred word choice. But I love playing a game called Magic: The Gathering that I play with my kids, and I play with other people. But it's sort of a random geek out kind of game, so people probably wouldn't guess that about me.
Oh, fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, Elisa, this has been great to get to know you, and I'm sure the audience will be anxious to reach out to you. So, can you please tell our listeners what is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can reach me on LinkedIn, Elisa Silverglade, or at my email, elisa@techromatic.com.
Spell Techromatic for them, please.
Sure. TECHROMATIC.
That's great. Again, thanks again for being our guest, and signing off for today for the AGM Attorney Podcast. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the AGM Attorney Podcast. Now it's time to put these strategies into action and accelerate your growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next time.